It's just videoing.
Videoing, so then you can just feel out whatever looks good.
Gotcha. So everyone look at it on 3.
1, 2, 3, looking. Oh, and turn your nose towards him a little bit if you can. Okay.
That's good. Tell it about your feelings, Steve.
So we planned this trip for, it was Owen's graduation present, his high school graduation present. And we booked it 2 years in advance and kind of looked around at the different outfitters and ended up talking to Clay with Big Wild Outfitters. And he had a good thing going. We'd been to Kodiak a couple times, so we kind of knew what to expect on the island. And we were a little bit concerned. November, you know, that late in the year on Kodiak can be kind of nasty, but as it got closer, we started looking at the forecast and looked like we were going to have a great window. When we got to the island, the wind was bad. I mean, it was blowing like 40, 50 in town, so we were delayed a couple days getting there, flying out of town to camp. But once it kind of settled down, sun was out, we ended up flying with Steve Harvey Flying Service. Had a cool belly float plane. It was Owen's first time in a float plane, so that was kind of an exciting event. As soon as we got there, it was grab your packs, load your stuff. It was like, I don't know, 1 or 2 in the afternoon probably, and decided we were going to try and make it halfway up the mountain utilizing the weather window that we had. It was so nice. So we just packed up all of our stuff, threw it in a boat, ran across the bay, and started climbing.
That's a steep one. Yeah. Hopefully we don't have to do that one a whole bunch of times.
I think it's a one-time thing.
Hope so.
We made it about halfway up at dark. Set up camp on a little tiny lake in about, I don't know, 6 or 8 inches of snow. When we first hit that basin, there was a big brown bear in it, which was kind of cool. We got to watch him for a little bit. It was getting dark, and fortunately he was going the other way. And yeah, then we set up little tents and snuggled in for the night.
That was even more when coming out of the dream, when we got up that morning and it was still dark and like there's no civilization for a long ways, and how cold it was especially just kind of sends a shock through you. And you know, looking around, we're in this giant basin, and you know, we had seen a bear the night before, and you know, from Clay's confidence, there was goats around, you know, we just couldn't see them yet.
We topped out and looked in the main basin where we expected them to be. They weren't in there, they'd moved off. We could kind of see tracks. We'd been, our route had taken us kind of up the west face of this hill, and we'd crossed a couple of sets of tracks in the snow that were headed farther west around the mountain. And so we kept peeking and looking in each basin, and ended up, we kind of sat down in a spot to glass, and I don't remember if we could hear them or what. Clay had walked off a little ways to glass into another spot, and then the goats, we'd gotten past them. They were below us and we'd gotten past them.
And Clay, as soon as we saw her, Clay actually had come back, and we told him to stop, and we pointed, and he was like, oh. And so she kind of rode the top of the ridge. We could see her the whole time, and then the kids started coming behind her, and then I saw the billy that I would end up shooting. And like, there was just a moment where he stopped and just kind of looked at me, and I just kind of stared at him, and then he went over the other side. And
we kind of let him move off a little bit. Then we peeked into the basin, and they were out, I don't know, 300 or 400 yards at that point, but still working their way up through that big open basin. At that point, we could see that there were 2 or 3, you know, decent mature billies in the group, and we didn't press real hard. We just kind of let them settle in and keep moving away for a while until they stopped. It turns out they stopped on the highest point that they could possibly get to.
it was kind of kind of a circus trying to figure out which one was the one I had seen, you know, because I mean, the horn's about this big. But eventually we got him picked out, and I had settled in, and like Dad was saying, I mean, I don't get too shaky on the gun, but that time I was like rattling inside. I was just like, oh my God. Ended up being a pretty good shot. It was just a little bit higher than I had expected, and he had hiked up a little bit and then dropped over the other side, and all Clay said was, "That's not good," and I didn't really ask him any more about why that wasn't good. You know, I was like, okay, maybe it's a little steep on the other side or something. But so after I shot mine, I handed the gun to Dad, and I just like laid there on my back, like, I swear, I just hope he's on the other side of that mountain. And
I mean, the rest of them kind of milled around a little bit, and another really nice filly. You know, we kind of identified him, and they were all milling around a little bit, so it was a little bit of a circus figuring out which one's which. And, but it wasn't a huge hurry. We had time, and that second billy gave me a good shot, and let one go, and it was a good hit.
Okay, he's skyline. Are you a bullet?
Standing with his chest high.
Standing with the chest up high in the middle, right dead center middle.
On the rocks high?
On the rocks high, yeah. Not the one on the right. He's looking up, staring at us.
The Manny
Sure.
to his
Okay,
right?
he's looking down.
Okay.
He's broadside. He's walking on the top now.
Little one.
I heard impact.
Nope.
Yeah, it hit him.
I heard a whack.
I can still see
Still
him.
running though.
Yeah, he's walking in that middle of that group.
He's the very bottom.
Broadside.
He's laying down. He just laid down.
Yeah.
Go ahead and shoot. Alright, you smoked him. Smoked him. Nice job.
Nice
job.
work, man.
Nice job.
Oh, my ears are ringing.
Oh, mine are too.
It sounded like a 22. I had so much adrenaline.
The first one did, but now I can't hear
Oh,
shit.
nice work, Clay.
Nice work. I just want.
We got it.
Yours is dead. Yours is definitely dead, but
Oh, he's rolling
he's
now.
rolling down to us now. But Owens is going to be the issue. He went the wrong direction. Nice shot. Nice job.
Nice.
Come on, baby, right down to us. Nice job.
Really?
Holy smokes. Owen, you definitely got the big boy for sure.
Hopefully.
Of course.
He acted like he was hit. He was definitely hit.
Oh, he was
I
hit,
thought
yeah.
I heard impact. He's hit
He went right
somewhere.
in that little V.
Yeah, he went. We should be able to track him. That's the nice thing about it. Nice job, guys. Holy smokes.
Double down.
I had 312 on mine. I don't know.
I had it at 325 once, but I think I hit the rock behind
Oh,
me.
what a beautiful day
I
in
just dialed it
Kodiak.
for 300.
Oh, boy. Nice job.
Tell me
guys.
about your feelings.
All right.
Climb, 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 hurry, shoot!
Shoot. Now pack that shit back to the warm cabin.
Oh, man, if we just pulled that off, boys, that is like...
Maybe Owens is in the lake by our camp.
I hope we're in. I hope he ain't missing any horns, too. That's the biggest thing. But that whole front face is all ice.
That Billy Steve shot looked nice too.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he
was
looked
just-
heavy
you
at the
could
bottom.
You could tell that other one was...
Did he have 4 legs and pretty fur?
Yeah, he's
Oh, yeah.
fluffy and looked like he
Perfect.
All that beautiful fur, that's her.
Hey, bang, bang, double, huh?
bang bang double.
I hope. You got yours.
I saw it go.
Yeah.
Stuffed him up. I think he just nosed that right there.
I think he's in that crevice if we're lucky.
If the shot was bad at all, I think if my shot was bad at all, it was hot, a little bit high, a little bit right. I think that's what my feelers tell me.
That's what your feelers tell you?
Yeah.
Dad got his goat, and once he had gone down, we hiked up to his and, you know, sat with him for a sec, and, you know, Dad was really excited.
Look at you.
Yeah.
He's got a good life size.
That's a pretty goat.
Yeah, he's nice.
That's a pretty goat.
Skanky, nasty glands.
Boy, it didn't even blood him up real bad.
No, that's kind of the only thing with Owens is that they don't bleed.
Yeah.
Hopefully he got a little bit of lung to get some out of his nose. But
Blow some out of his nose.
So we hiked up that 200 yards to where I'd seen mine go over, and Clay, being a mountain goat himself, had gotten really far ahead of me because he wanted to see what had happened to it, you know, and he got over just looked over the other side, and he turned back at me and just smiled, and he was like, so the reason I didn't tell you that that was bad was because this side it goes into that chute, and then it's just snow, and I mean almost vertical, and 2,000 feet of drop. Like, there was a very low chance that we would have been able to recover him. But once I had got up there, I had seen that he had, on his sleigh ride down, he had just built up enough snow and it stopped him. There was no rock or tree or anything that had stopped him. It was just the snow. And I mean, another half of a foot, he would have gone and been by. Never saw him again. Once we had gotten him on top of the ridge, you know, we rested, and I was able to kind of fully take in, you know, what had happened.
But as a father too, I mean, the cliffs bug me, so obviously when my kids are standing on the edge of it, it bothers me too. But sometimes it's best if I just don't watch. Clay was ecstatic. I don't know if he'd ever had an opportunity like that. They were both great billies. Owens was a little bit bigger, but both great billies and perfect hides. And it wasn't raining, and I mean, it was as good an outcome as you could possibly hope for, you know. It was a little bit quick. I mean, it was the first full day that we were hunting, but when you get an opportunity like that, it's yeah, you take it for sure.
Once we had broken down both goats, I've never seen someone skin anything that fast, much less be a giant furry goat. But Clay was, I mean, a ninja with the knife. He was going, you know, very precise, but going very fast still, and got it broke down. And the hides itself were very heavy, you know. And once we had gotten back to Spike Camp, my knees were pretty freaking wobbly, and it was definitely a new experience for me, just feeling that much fatigue. I mean, I've played sports my whole life. I know what it's like to be tired and after giving everything you got, but there was something incredibly different about being fatigued from weight and hiking that much.
Owen had a deer tag. The plan had been that we'd spend another night on the mountain, you know, make it back to base camp. It was early enough in the day, and we felt good enough, and we had enough energy that we decided we'd just make the push all the way back to base camp. Another night in those tents didn't sound like the greatest thing in the world, so home-cooked meals and a warm cabin sounded a lot better. There was another guide in camp, Rick, super great guy. Clay radioed him or got him on the sat phone and asked him to come over and give us a hand. So by the time we got back down to our Spike Camp, Rick had been there and took as much weight as he could haul and hauled it back down to the boat. Clay and Cody went to our camp, got what was left. So we basically had our camp and both goats and made the push all the way back. And then when we hit that, you know, it's mostly downhill, but with that kind of weight, and then down the creek, and then you hit that Heartbreak Ridge that you have to climb to get over and down to the bay, and it was brutal.
The creek bottom was actually okay. You know, it was fairly flat. I mean, it was still kind of an endurance race, but we put our waders back on, and that was a whole nother element. I mean, your feet aren't tight, you know, like mine were a little big, and I had grabbed a pair with a big hole in them because I didn't think we were going to use them a lot. Once we had gotten to Heartbreak Ridge, I knew I was kind of closing in on my reserves, what I had left, and put down a granola bar real quick and started up the mountain. And you know, at that point you're so close that you kind of find some hidden energy within yourself, and just kind of made our way up Heartbreak Ridge and got to the top. And once we had gotten over the crest of it, you know, that was pretty much the victory. You know, the rest was downhill, but at that point my lungs were about to explode, so I was thankful for that.
At that point, I don't know, had to be 7 or 8 o'clock at night probably. I mean, I was whipped out. Everybody was getting pretty tired at that point, and yeah, that last ridge was a bear, but we made it, and it was worth it. I mean, sleeping in a warm bed and stuff that night was definitely worth it.
We get up, go to breakfast, still extremely sore, and it was always in the back of my mind, you know, like, okay, we're probably gonna go get that blacktail sometime soon. And we got into breakfast, and Clay was like, so you guys ready to go get that blacktail? I'm like, right now? I'm still trying to recover here, man.
We took it a little bit easy in the morning, dealt with capes, had another nice home-cooked meal, and then loaded up our stuff and our camp again and headed up a different drainage to deer hunt. Boat ride probably took us an hour up the bay, and then hiked into a really nice valley that it didn't get hit as hard during the previous winter, so the deer population was good. When
we had gotten off the boat, I had gotten out to help Rick, and I was in my waders, and then the water ended up going about halfway up my thigh, so my feet had gotten so wet, and everything was just cold and, you know, frozen. But once we got the boat anchored, everyone out, and then Rick left and we started moving a little bit, I started to kind of unthaw a little bit, and
we started seeing deer immediately and started seeing bucks immediately. And again, our plan was to stay maybe a night or two. We got in there late in the afternoon, actually located a really nice buck, great Sitka buck. And
sure enough, here comes two does walking off the mountain, and there was a buck following behind him. And he looked pretty heavy, and for what I could see, I was pretty certain he was a fork. And he had followed those does and gotten into some heavier brush, and we lost sight of him. And Clay was pretty certain he could see the route that they were going to take, so we just kind of waited and waited. And he actually popped up like maybe 100 yards in front of us with his two does. And Clay was, you know, get ready, everyone was getting excited and stuff. And I laid down with the gun, and at that point the sun was directly in my eyes. I couldn't see anything. And so he started moving towards us from that 100 yards. I'm still trying to find him in the scope. I'm just a little bit starting to panic because he is almost running at us and I can't find him in the gun, you know. And finally I get out of the gun. I almost just stand up, and I'm just looking for this deer that's like at this point 75 yards in front of us. And I found him. I got in the gun, found him in the scope, and we got him to stop moving.
He's going down. He went over the top. Like a good shot. It did hit though.
He went down over and into that creek that was below us, and he kind of came back up the other side, and we saw him go down and went right to him. So
nice work.
Yeah, here he is. You know, he's got a little something right here, and ended up being a lot bigger than I thought he was. But
deer slam. There's your deer slam.
Really?
Yep.
That's every. No way. Everyone. Awesome, dude. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So we were trying to shoot the little fork.
I'm glad we didn't shoot no little fork.
Wow, he's a nice one.
I'm glad we didn't walk up to the freaking top of the mountain to go shoot one either.
Yeah, that's the best part.
I like that right from the glass of the hill.
I feel mom's cooking.
Yeah. Nice.
Nice job, son. Good work.
Yeah, so once we had gotten him all broken down, taking pictures, we were on our way back out, and Clay said that if we wanted a fox, like this was the spot that we would find him. And sure enough, I mean, we were hiking out, and I mean, at that point it was probably 50 yards, and Clay was like, "There's a fox right there," you know. And I got all set up, and I kind of forgot to compensate for range, so I just put it right behind the shoulder like anything, and ended up blowing his back out.
Toasted him. Nice.
Nice work.
The trifecta.
That's Kodiak clam.
Guess what you get to carry now, man?
Yeah.
Stinky fox.
Nice.
I was zoomed all the way in on that stinky critter.
You got him?
Yeah.
It was amazing. I would do it many more times with anyone, or you know, anytime. And
Yeah, you couldn't ask for anything better. Great goat, great blacktail buck. And this was his first trip to the island. Cody and I and a couple other guys have gone up there deer hunting a few times now and love that place and love doing it that way. And this was the first time that he was able to go, so it was really cool to be able to share that and do those things. Cody married into a family that I've known my whole life, and we worked together and hunted together, and we've been really fortunate to get to go on, I don't know, 2 or 3 sheep hunts in Oregon together, and some great elk hunts together. And yeah, he's great to have along because he can carry a lot of stuff on his back, and he's always got snacks. No, it's yeah. So we've known each other for quite a long time at this point. Yeah.
I mean, they pretty much covered it. It was just fun. One of those, you know, where you couldn't really we couldn't ask for anything different. The weather was perfect. The hunt was great. The guides and Clay's mom was there cooking for us, and she's awesome. Every day had more food than we could eat ready for us, and they run a top-notch operation up there. I mean, everything they did was perfect. The cabins were nice. They were good people, all of them.